Hey everyone, hope you're having an amazing day. Today, we're diving into a shocking story of betrayal, secrets, and a ruthless scheme that almost destroyed everything Uri and Tu Tieu worked for. Imagine someone plotting for months, hiring fake inspectors, and even spreading a false bribery scandal, all to take over a farm and a company. Sounds intense, right? If you're ready to uncover how the truth finally came to light and justice was served, stick around. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. Lynn had been plotting in the shadows for so long that most people forgot she even had the patience for something this extreme. But that's the thing about someone like Lynn. She wasn't just patient. She was calculated. Every smile she flashed at the office, every gentle word she used around Tu Tieu, every time she pretended to care about the company, it was all part of a long game. And now, after months of carefully moving her pieces into place, she finally unleashed the move she'd been saving for the perfect moment. The kind of move that didn't just hit hard, it hit to destroy. It happened deep in the night, the hour when the world goes quiet and people let their guard down. Uri and Tu Tieu were asleep in the small wooden house at the edge of their farm, the last peaceful corner they had left after retreating from all the chaos inside the company. But peace wasn't something Lynn ever intended to let them keep. Around 2 a.m, blinding headlights cut through the darkness, followed by the heavy slam of car doors. Before Uri could even process what was happening, people in uniform stormed onto the property. They looked official. Clipboards, badges, vests. But something about them felt off. No introductions, no warnings, no explanations. They fanned out across the farm like a SWAT team, shouting orders, snapping photos, shining lights into every corner. Uri stepped outside, still throwing on his jacket, trying to get a clear look. "What's going on?" he asked, voice firm but confused. The man in front, supposedly the lead inspector, shoved a clipboard toward him without a hint of courtesy. "We've received reports your farm is contaminating the local water supply. We're here to conduct an immediate investigation." The words didn't make sense. Uri felt his stomach drop, but not because he believed them. It was the way they moved. Too aggressive, too rehearsed, too coordinated. "Where did this report come from?" Uri asked. "We can't disclose that," the man snapped. Then came the fake documents. Pages stamped with forged seals, signatures that looked official enough to fool the average person, threats of fines and shutdowns. And the biggest blow of all, the order to seal off the entire property. For Uri and Tu Tieu, that land wasn't just a farm. It was everything they had left. The last asset, the last safe place. The one thing they still controlled after Lynn had started poisoning the company from the inside. Losing the farm meant losing their stability, their income, and their protection. And for Lynn, that was exactly the point. But the worst part, the real punch she'd been saving, that came next. Just when Uri was trying to calmly explain to the supposed inspectors that the accusations made no sense, everyone's phones, literally everyone's, from the fake inspectors to the night guard at the company headquarters, started lighting up at once. Notifications, messages, links, and alerts. A video, an edited, expertly manipulated video that showed Uri sitting at a dining table, accepting a thick envelope of cash from an unknown man. And the caption? "Uri caught taking bribe? Covering up environmental crimes?" Within minutes, it spread through internal company chats. Within an hour, it had hit the shareholders' group threads. And by sunrise, Uri's reputation, built over years of work, was in ruins. People who respected him, who trusted him, who believed in his vision, were suddenly panicking, pulling back, questioning everything. And Lynn? She watched it unfold like a conductor leading an orchestra. Mrs. Lon, who never questioned Lynn and never trusted Yuri to begin with, was the first to react. She didn't wait. She didn't ask. She didn't even consider the possibility that the video was fake. She called Tu Tieu immediately, her voice shaking with rage and tears, the dangerous combination that had always clouded her judgment. Tu Tieu, she said, breathless and emotional. You must leave Yuri right now. Do you hear me? He's dangerous. He's going to destroy everything. I won't let him drag you into this. Tu Tieu froze. Her mother's voice cut through her chest like a knife. Not because she believed the accusation, but because she knew Mrs. Lon did. Once her mother made up her mind, there was no undoing it. And with Lynn whispering in her ear every day, convincing her that Tu Tieu was naive, that Yuri was manipulative, that the company needed stronger leadership, Mrs. Lon had already been primed to snap. Now she finally did. Meanwhile, Yuri found himself shoved into the most dangerous corner of his life. A police investigation. Not a warning, not a request for questioning. A full-blown investigation, triggered by a video designed to ruin him in the eyes of both the public and the law. But while everyone else was spiraling, Lynn made one fatal mistake. She assumed she had destroyed every piece of evidence that could expose her setup. She hadn't. There was a tiny camera chip, the smallest and oldest one in the farm's surveillance system, tucked away behind a wooden beam near the storage shed. Lynn had smashed cameras, cut wires, sabotaged the security panel. But she didn't know this chip even existed. And because she didn't know it existed, she didn't destroy it. And because she didn't destroy it, it kept recording. Every step of her hired inspectors walking onto the property, their conversations before they reached the house, the moment they pulled out the forged documents, even the call they received right before entering. The call in which Lynn herself gave the order, "Go in now." Everything, every detail, every command, every piece of her scheme was captured. And the best part? Nobody realized the chip was still active. Not even Yuri and Tu Tieu. Not yet. But the truth has a way of resurfacing at the exact moment someone thinks they've already won. And in Lynn's case, the truth wasn't just resurfacing. It was building pressure. The kind of pressure that doesn't leak quietly. The kind that explodes. And when it did, it wouldn't just expose her. It would crush her. What Lynn didn't realize was that her entire perfect plan was starting to unravel sooner than she expected. The farm looked chaotic on the outside. Fake inspectors roaming around, Yuri trying to keep calm, Tu Tieu standing behind him in shock. But underneath all that panic, something was shifting. Something she never planned for. Back inside the house, while Yuri kept the fake officials occupied, Tu Tieu slipped away for a moment, her hands still trembling. She wasn't running or hiding. She was thinking hard, because nothing about this felt real. Nothing about the accusations made sense, and the timing was too perfect to be a coincidence. And when things seem too perfectly timed, they usually are. She headed toward the back room where Yuri stored the farm's older equipment, hoping to find something, anything that could help. She didn't know what she was looking for. She just knew one thing. If Lynn was behind this, and every instinct screamed that she was, then whatever was happening tonight wasn't just an attack. It was a setup. And setups always have weak spots. While Tu Tieu searched, the fake inspectors continued to escalate their intimidation. "We're shutting down the entire property immediately," one of them announced. "Pack your things. You'll have to vacate until the investigation is concluded." Yuri stared at them, his expression calm on the outside but burning on the inside. You show up in the middle of the night with documents you won't verify, accusations you can't explain, and now threats you can't enforce, he said. "Tell me, who sent you?" The leader stepped forward, closer than necessary. "Your job isn't to ask questions, it's to cooperate." Yuri's jaw tightened. But before he could respond, all their phones buzzed again, notifications exploding like a chain reaction. More comments, more shares, more accusations. The video was blowing up even faster than before, with hashtags popping up across forums, company chats, and anonymous boards. The narrative was spreading, and it was spreading exactly the way Lynn wanted it to. It was the kind of viral scandal that could ruin a man's career in a single night. And Yuri knew it. Meanwhile, back in the storage room, Tu Tieu finally stumbled onto something. An old monitor, dusty, half-broken, connected to power, but not to any of the newer security panels. And beside it, tucked behind a crate, was the tiny camera chip still blinking faintly, almost invisible unless you knew exactly where to look. She didn't, but the blinking light caught her eye anyway. "What is this?" she whispered. She powered up the monitor. Static. Then footage, and what she saw made her freeze. A group of men standing at the entrance of the farm, the same men who were inside right now. But on the recording, they weren't acting official or professional. They were laughing, talking casually. One of them even kicked the dirt like he was bored. And then, the crucial moment, the moment everything shifted. One of the men picked up his phone. "Yeah, we're here," he said. "You want us to go in now?" Pause. "Yes, Lynn. Got it." Tu Tieu clapped a hand over her mouth, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. She replayed the clip again, just to make sure she wasn't imagining it. But she wasn't. It was real. It was clear. And it was the proof they needed. Proof Lynn had orchestrated everything. Tu Tieu grabbed the chip and ran outside. The fake inspectors had begun sealing off parts of the property when she shouted, "Stop!" Everyone turned. "Uri," she said, breathless. "Look at this." She handed him the chip, and he quickly connected it to his phone. The moment the audio played, Lynn's voice giving the order, the entire group fell silent. The fake inspectors' faces changed instantly. Gone was their confidence. Gone was the intimidation. Their expressions twisted into something uglier, guilt mixed with fear. "You recorded us?" one of them snapped. "No," Yuri replied. "The farm recorded you." The leader stepped forward as if to snatch the chip, but Yuri pulled back, eyes locked with his. "That's enough." You could feel the shift in the air. The control was no longer in the inspector's hands. They had been caught, and they knew it. The men exchanged anxious looks before turning away, muttering to each other. And just like that, they retreated. No more threats, no more documents, no more fake authority. They were exposed, and they knew they had to get out before things escalated. As their cars sped off into the night, Uri finally let out a slow breath. Tu Tieu leaned against him, shaken but relieved. The nightmare wasn't over, not even close. But for the first time, they had leverage. Real leverage. but the fallout was already spreading. Back in the city, Lynn sat comfortably in her apartment, scrolling through her phone with a satisfied smirk. The comments were exactly what she wanted. Uri betrayed the company? I knew something was off about him. We deserve better leadership. Is Lynn next in line for the director position? Perfect. Everything was moving exactly how she planned. She poured herself a glass of wine and leaned back, whispering to herself, "Checkmate." But just as she lifted the glass, her phone lit up with a notification. A private message sent to every major shareholder, every manager, and every legal department inbox within the company. A message containing one video file. Her voice, her command, her entire plan exposed. She blinked, confused. Then she pressed play. And when she heard herself ordering the men to storm the farm, her entire body went cold. No, she whispered. Her hands shook as she checked the sender. It wasn't Uri. It wasn't Tu Tieu. It wasn't even an anonymous account. It was the system. Farm Security Backup Unit. Auto-sync. That tiny forgotten camera chip didn't just record. It auto-synced. Every night. Right to the cloud. Lynn's worst fear had always been exposure. Not failure. Exposure. And now, the one thing she tried hardest to destroy had already delivered the truth straight into the hands of the people she was trying to impress. Within minutes, her phone exploded with calls. Shareholders, managers, even Mrs. Lon. But none of them were friendly calls. The final blow came 30 minutes later. A message from the board. Emergency meeting. Attendance mandatory. Uri and Tu Tieu watched the sun rise over the farm, exhausted but hopeful. Everything had changed in a single night. But now, they finally had the truth. And truth, once revealed, doesn't go back into hiding. Not for Lynn. Not this time. In this intense drama, Lynn secretly plots for months to take over Uri and Tu Tieu's farm and company. Under the cover of night, she hires fake environmental inspectors, armed with forged documents, to accuse the farm of contaminating the water and demand it be sealed. Just when Uri tries to explain, Lynn escalates the attack, releasing a manipulated video showing him accepting a bribe, which spreads quickly and ruins his reputation. Mrs. Lon, blindly trusting Lynn, pressures Tu Tieu to leave Uri, pushing the couple into a life-or-death situation. But Lynn underestimates a tiny hidden camera chip that survived her sabotage. It captured every moment of her plan, including her direct orders to the imposters. When the truth emerges, Lynn's scheme collapses, exposing her betrayal and saving Uri and Tu Tieu's farm, proving that cunning and greed cannot outlast the truth.